Alrighty, everyone. I am back with another video. So, as promised in my other video where was talking about how I was coming back to YouTube, today I'm going to be talking about my birth experience with my daughter. And I have my phone here because I made a blog post about it, and so I'm going to use my phone just to kind of help me stay on track. So I had my first daughter 2 years ago. First let me give a disclaimer. I'm not a medical provider, anything. I don't have any medical background. I'm just sharing my story. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So like I said, my daughter was born 2 years ago. She was due at the end of September 2020. She didn't come on her due date, and at my hospital that we go to, they won't let you go past 41 weeks. And so, I went past my due date, and trust me, I was doing everything. I was drinking the red raspberry leaf tea throughout my third trimester. I walked 2 miles just about every day during my pregnancy, or at least towards I would say the spring, summertime is when I was really doing that. Bouncing the yoga ball. I was doing lunges. Me and my husband were doing curb walking. I was eating the dates. And of course, everybody suggests to get busy. So I did all the things. And she still did not come on her due date. Now looking back, I understand that it's just kind of an estimate, kind of deal, whatever. But so her due date comes and it goes, and I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling defeated because I'm like, come on, I'm ready for her to come out. I am hot, I am big, I am pregnant. I'm ready for her to just come on out. And during that time, everybody kept calling. And I know that they're worried and everything, and they want to know, where's the baby? Where's the baby? And I'm just like, we will call you when the baby gets here. So that is a word of advice. If you know someone that is pregnant and they're due, they will let you know when the baby is coming. Also, you don't want to call and just in case something has happened and maybe they're not ready to share just yet. Okay. My last appointment when I was pregnant, we had to go see our midwives because, like I said, I was overdue, and we had to set an induction date, which is kind of cool because you get to decide when your baby is going to be born. And I wanted my baby to be born at the end of September, which was her due date, but of course she didn't come. I just wanted her to have a golden birthday, like when she got older, to celebrate like how I did. But she ended up coming towards the beginning of the next month, so that didn't work out. So we talked about induction, and my midwife let me know that when we get to the hospital, I'll be given Pitocin to kind of help things speed along, I guess you could say. Now, throughout my pregnancy, I was reading the Supernatural Childbirth book by Jackie Mies. And, I was saying the prayers, doing the affirmations. I had everything packed. I wanted to labor in water, so I wanted a water birth. I also wanted the lights down low, and I had the wallflower scent picked out that I wanted to be plugged in into the wall. I just wanted to be in control of everything. Like, I just wanted my ideal birth. I had all those things picked out. So then once my midwife told me that we had to be induced because my daughter was not coming out and my hospital doesn't let us go past 41 weeks, I had already kind of made up in my mind that if she didn't come before, or if she didn't come by her due date or after, I was going to do the midwife's brew. Now, I do have footage of that. Granted, it was 2 years ago, but I think I still may post it and just kind of share my thoughts about that. I did the midwife's brew, and I did all my research. I know there's conflicting research about it, but for me, I thought if I did the midwife's brew that would help me have a greater chance of having a natural birth. and I wouldn't have to take Pitocin and have medical intervention. So that's why I did that. So we were scheduled to be induced at 7 a.m. and so I took the Midwest Brew, I think between like 11:30 and 12 p.m. at night. And after you take it, you're supposed to exercise for 30 minutes. So I did that as well. Like I said, I am not a medical provider, medical professional, or anything. I'm just sharing my experience. You don't have to do this. I'm not advising anyone to do this. I'm simply sharing my experience. Okay? So, took the Midwest Brew, exercised for 30 minutes. Then I slept on the couch, or at least I tried to, because, you know, you're anxious because you're ready for your baby to come and everything. So I tried to get some rest. And then around 1 a.m., I started getting these labor pains or contractions or whatever you want to call it, labor waves. But I knew that my induction was set for 7 a.m. So I'm just telling myself, okay, just hold out. You have your induction set up. I just wanted to get things moving, like, you know. So I started feeling that about 1 a.m. And, you know, I'm kind of in and out of sleep, but I'm like, you know, really starting to feel it. So I set my alarm for 5 a.m., wake up at 5 a.m., starting to get ready, because like I said, we have the induction at 7. I throw up. And if you guys have seen my pregnancy videos, I didn't finish it, but I was sick my entire pregnancy with my daughter. Literally, it didn't matter about the morning sickness. It didn't matter about the first trimester. I was throwing up all the time. So of course, the day I get ready to give birth, I throw up the day that I'm going to have her. So I'm in the bathroom throwing up. Yellow bowel, sorry if you're eating, it's yellow bowel that, you know, so there's literally nothing in my stomach. My husband busts in, he's like, is the baby here? Is the baby here? I'm like, no, I'm just throwing up, you know. So after that happens, we are packing up, we're heading to the hospital. I'm like gripping onto the little car thing because the contractions are like really starting to get to me. So we check in, and of course, so our hospital only has 4 water birthing rooms. And so we were told, call ahead of time, let them know you want to do a water birth. So I did that. And of course, when we get there, all the rooms that have the water birthing pools are filled up. So of course, I am ticked off because I'm like, okay, this is going against my birthing plan. I'm like, how am I going to give birth if I don't give birth in water? You know, that was my whole plan. I mean, obviously you can still give birth without being in water, but that's what I wanted to do. That was my ideal birth. Okay, so we get checked in. You know, you show your insurance and everything, your ID. And so the nurse brings us to our room. And she's like, get undressed, blah, blah, blah. And so she gives me my hospital gown to put on. As I'm lifting up my leg, my water breaks. And it's just this big gush of water. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's just so funny to me looking back on it. So my water breaks and I wasn't sure, so I told my husband, you know, grab the nurse. So she checks. So she was like, oh, okay. Now you can't do the Pitocin because your water broke. Like I said, I don't know everything or all the medical terms as to why you can't, but yeah, so they were like, you can't do the Pitocin. And one thing that I did not know, that I don't think a lot of people talk about is that, well, at least for me, is that when your water breaks, your water continues to break, or not continues to break, but your body continues to release fluid. So what the nurse told me is with every contraction, your body is squeezing out that water. So I'm sitting in the hospital bed and I'm like, okay, can you get me some more towels? Can you get me some more pads or anything? I don't like sitting in wet stuff. And she was like, oh, well, you know, that's just going to continue to happen. She's like, you know, it's normal. It's just with your contractions, your body's just, you know, squeezing out the rest of the fluid or whatever. Another thing, when your water breaks, or at least for mine, because I don't want to scare anybody, but when my water broke, I could really feel those contractions. Like, if from what I've been told, it's like the water's kind of, or the fluid is kind of like a cushion. And then when your water breaks, you can really start to feel those contractions. So I really started to feel those, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh my gosh. I also want to mention that we had a midwife through our hospital. She's a registered nurse, and I think she focuses in midwifery. There was a few of them. And then we hired a doula. Now, our doula was late to our appointment or our induction or whatever. So, of course, I'm ticked off, and I know things happen, but I felt like she was supposed to be there to kind of help me get out of my head during the whole process. I felt like I was supposed to be relying on her to kind of help me, talk me through everything. And, she was late. And so the contractions and everything are going on. And so I'm like, okay, wait. I remember while I was pregnant, I listened to I put together a pregnancy playlist of pregnancy affirmations, soft music, prayers, all the things that I listened to that just about every night when I was pregnant, because I wanted to get my body used to, and I wanted to get used to hearing it. So to kind of help myself out, I told my husband, okay, I said, play the playlist that I put together. So the playlist one of the videos from the playlist started playing, and about 10 seconds into the video, I'm like, okay, turn it off. Turn it off. And I'm cracking up now because I was so prepared. I had everything prepared. And then I just couldn't take her voice. And it's so weird to me because it's this is something I had listened to throughout the majority of my pregnancy. And then when it got time to it, I couldn't do it. I was like, turn it off. So meanwhile, this is going on. The nurse is checking on me. She has the monitor on me. She has the monitor on my daughter. And she kind of just said, oh, the baby is not really liking these contractions. Nothing big, but she just wanted to bring it to our attention. So I was like, okay. So we're, still doing our thing. The uterus is still contracting. And you know how I said I wanted to do a supernatural pain-free childbirth? Well, when those contractions started kicking in, and I think I, got in my head a little bit, I was like, okay, no. Yeah, you can go ahead and give me that epidural. So I bend over the pill. They stick it in. I kind of, flinch a little bit, which I was a little bit nervous because I was nervous I was going to be paralyzed. Because, they warn you not to move or anything because they could hit something. Oh, so before that, we called the doula because she's still not there yet. And so she's like, no, don't get the epidural. She's like, this could, slow down your progression. Meanwhile, I was still at only 1 centimeter. So, okay, hold on, baby. She's like, this could slow down your progression. You won't be able to walk. I tell my husband, I'm like, okay, hang up the phone. I'm like, she's not here. I'm like, I got to fend for myself. I know what she said, but, things are progressing. So I got to get this epidural. So I get that. The nurse comes back in. She's steady checking me and the baby. And she's just like, I don't know. She's like, the baby is just not liking these contractions. So I was like, okay, I'm still experiencing some discomfort. I'm still only at 1 centimeter. And like I said, it's been 2 years later, so I don't remember all the details. But I remember at some point, I think my midwife came in, the nurse was showing her the chart. And, they kind of were doing some talking. And they mentioned doing other methods to get the baby out. And at the time, it seemed as if everybody was kind of alluding to what should be done, but not actually saying the word, which was C-section. And we never talked about C-section throughout my whole entire pregnancy. My midwife knew I wanted to go natural, try to go natural. So it just kind of felt like, okay, we're going to use other methods but nobody was really saying, okay, we may have to do a C-section. And so, let me see. Like I said, I don't remember exact conversations, but I remember them saying that the baby's heart rate was dropping and I was only a centimeter. After, I think the doctors or somebody came in and they're like, hey, the baby's heart rate is dropping and, you're still at only a centimeter, you guys should think about doing a C-section. And I literally started bawling, like literally I feel like all the fluid that was in my body just started coming out through my eyes. I started shaking and just getting really scared because, this was the unknown. I don't even think I really looked up what a C-section was until I actually had one. And I remember reading throughout my pregnancy, women were dying during childbirth, especially Black women. And I just felt this just rush of fear coming over me because I'm like, I don't want that to be my story. And I was so scared that that would happen to me. And I'm like, okay, this is how it starts. This is probably how it started for the other women, and so I didn't want that to be my story. So of course I'm crying, I'm bawling. My husband calls my mom. My mom is calm, but I later found out that she was, nervous as well, but she, kept a calm front for him. And, so then I think the doctors or the medical team, somebody, I don't know if they're all doctors, but it's like the surgeon, or whoever it is, whatever. I'm just going to say medical team came back in, asked us, hey, what am I trying to say? What's your decision? Because we need to start preparing for if we're going to have a C-section, and, we don't want things to turn into an emergency, I think is what they said. So me and my husband were like, okay, can you give us some more time? And so then he calls his mom. I think he starts texting family members and like, hey, send them some prayers, blah, 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 blah. At this point, I'm still crying, snot still rolling down. I'm talking Viola Davis, snot, crying, all the things, because I am so nervous. So I forgot to mention, or maybe I don't know if I did mention this or not. So this is during the pandemic. So of course, with this big decision, it's just me and my husband and my doula in the room, because at the time you couldn't have any other family. And I just felt like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need my mom here to help me, make a decision and everything. And it's like, it's so crazy because here I was about to become a mom, and I felt like a little girl, like needing their mom to help them. So that was, I don't know, it was just there's so many emotions going on. And I love my midwife to death. She was seriously like a mother figure for us during our pregnancy. We were first-time parents in the middle of the pandemic, so we didn't really get to see our families. I was also scared because I'm like, okay, this was not a part of my plan. I was supposed to be in a birthing pool. I was supposed to have my baby naturally without medical intervention, or at least minimum medical intervention. And now it seems like I'm getting all the medical intervention. And I was just like, this is not my plan. Like, what is going on? Like, so I was, upset. And so after the third attempt, so the doctors or the medical team came in a third time and they're like, hey, we need to know what is you guys' decision. And so I'm crying, and I asked my midwife, I asked her, hey, what would you do? And she tells me, she goes, I would have the C-section. She's like, because I would rather go home with a healthy, alive baby. And that's what did it for me, was the alive part, because I got to thinking, if I were to go home without my baby, without an alive baby at that, and I know, like, why are you saying alive? But like, to carry a child for 9, almost 10 months, and then not be able to take them home, not be able to love on them after you've envisioned how they would talk, how they would look, what they would look like, and thinking about possibly losing her, it really set things into perspective. And, you know, I was so scared, and I even asked her, I'm like, will I ever have abs again? Because I just felt like my body was going to be botched. It would not look the same. And like, I was just so scared. But when she mentioned, you know, she would want to go home with a healthy, alive baby, it just turned it around for me. And I'm like, okay, I have to do what I have to do to make sure that my daughter comes here safely. So we finally say, okay, we're gonna do the C-section. Even after we said that we would, I was still, you know, uneasy about it, but I honestly didn't know what else to do. So they start prepping me. We get rolled into the operating room, and I'm like shaking so much, and I'm like coming off of the bed because I'm like laying on my back, and you know, they have your arms like spread out like this. They lay on your back, and I'm just so nervous as heck because I remember watching this movie called Awake when I was younger, and the guy was talking about how, well, basically in the movie he was talking about how, basically he was like talking while he was having the surgery done. And I was so nervous that I was going to feel them slice me open. And I remember I kept telling them, make sure you cut me horizontally, because I remember my boss told me she had a C-section, or I think she had a few. And she was like, make sure they cut you horizontally. So I was like, okay, make sure you guys are cutting me horizontally. And, you know, I'm shaking, I'm crying, my teeth are chattering so much that I literally think that my teeth are going to break, but I cannot stop shaking. I cannot stop chattering my teeth. My face is red, my face is blowed up. And, you know, the nurse is just wiping away my tears and just telling me, you know, to relax. I'm doing a good job. So thankfully I didn't feel them, you know, slice me open or anything. So I'm sitting there and I'm trying to just, you know, focus on my breath. My husband's telling me to focus on my breath, so I'm doing that. And next thing I know, so the curtain is drawn. It's not one of those things where you can see. So the curtain's drawn, and so next thing I know, I see them lift up my daughter, and then they, you know, take her over to be measured and to be weighed. And I just feel like this rush of just like warmness over my body. And I just started crying because there was just so much anxiety, so much buildup. I was so happy. And it's just like, I just felt like, oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, that she is here safely. And, you know, she made it here safely. Everything's okay. And I honestly can't describe it. I think of it as just like if somebody were to pop a warm, like, water balloon over your head. And it's like, giving birth is literally such a celestial experience. So yeah, after they wipe her off, they put the cute little hat on her. Then they put her to my breast right away. She starts nuzzling her way and starts eating right away. She didn't have any trouble eating. So yeah, so that's going on. And then I think they pulled her off the breast, and then my husband got to hold her or something like that. And so, okay, so now I birthed her, and so now it's the time to birth the placenta. Now this is the part where it's like, it was so uncomfortable because, you know, they're pushing down on you, and I felt like there was like a million hands like in my insides just pushing down on me. And if you guys have ever seen the Twilight movie where Bella gives birth and then she's about to die, and they're like doing the compressions on her, and they're like literally squeezing her stomach to her back, that's what it felt like. And at one point I shot, okay. Golly, I think you got it. So I shout, okay. And I reach over and I grab my midwife's leg. Now, I did not mean to. It was literally just a reflex, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I think you guys are good, you know. So they're doing their thing. And my midwife, she's like, okay, the patient is grabbing my leg. Can someone please get the patient? Whew. It's a funny story now, but it wasn't funny then. But, you know, I just kept apologizing, like, I'm so sorry. So yeah, so they sew me back up, and they wheel us back to the room. Now from there, it gets kind of hazy because I was still I still had the medicine in me, but that is the gist of my birth experience, my birth story. I do have some footage of it that I might insert, or I might link down below or something. But my husband was recording to start, but then they told him to stop recording, so he didn't get the whole thing. And I think if I do share some footage, I'm going to cut out some of the bits where they're like where I'm literally like open and the doctors are doing their thing, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I don't know. At least that's what we were told. So yeah, guys, that is my birth experience that it took me 2 years to talk about and post. But I recently made a blog post, and I just found it so therapeutic to write about it and just kind of remember and reflect on that time and how I was feeling. And right now my daughter is a toddler, and so writing the blog post and making this video has really just made me appreciate her. Not that I didn't before, but just kind of remember the things that we went through and how excited I was to see her, and just the love that I felt, because you know, she's in a toddler phase, and some days she definitely tries me. But writing the blog post and making this video just made me fall, not that I ever fell out of love, but just made me appreciate our journey, because I'm sure it was traumatic for her as well, you know. So yeah, that is the end of my birth story. Feel free to comment down below your birth experience. Share this video and let me know what are some of the funny stories or lovable moments from your birth experience. Or this is another thing too, if you were the father or a sister or aunt or a mother that was in the birthing room, I would love to know your perspective on the birthing experience as well. I think that's all that I have. I'm finally putting this up, so I feel proud of myself. That's all I have for now. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Just relax, I promise it's so much
I
better for the
hit you with
baby.
a very hard thing. You would know if your epidural wasn't working.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's this stuck on?
Take some deep breaths, babe. Okay? Do your breathing.
If it helps, you can look over at him. You can move your head if it helps.
Yeah, do your breathing, okay?
You're okay.
This makes us think about chocolate margarita.
That's why I say let's just pretend like we're having Mexican. The mariachi band. Slow deep breaths here. Slow it down.
Hey, babe.
Slow deep breaths.
Babe. Relax, babe. Okay? You do that for me? You gotta be calm for Jazara. Alright? You gotta be calm. Deep breaths.
Okay.
Deep breaths. In and out, in and out. Circle. Do you hear?
There you go. That's perfect.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Do I have to stay seated?
Yeah.
Do I have to stay seated?
At least until we get the baby up and out.
Okay.
We don't want you passing out. We
Ain't
don't want to
gonna
take you
pass
up
out,
off
okay.
her. Once the baby's out, they'll take her over there, and then you can go over there too and see her too.
Okay. Doing good, babe. Good job. Breathe. Okay.
You can definitely take pictures.
Okay.